This was unprofessional.
Let me ask you a question. So when you go to ESPN, you have people pick you up from the airport?
Yeah.
No, you don't. When you do Inside the NFL, you have people pick you up from the airport?
Yeah, at the beginning, yeah.
No, you don't. So I'm just trying to figure out why with your show would you choose to take that route when you don't take that route for ESPN and Inside the NFL?
Shannon Sharpe always prides himself on being a very professional person, and his image is of the utmost importance to him. If you watch 5 seconds of first take now actually, but if you watch 5 seconds of Undisputed, or if you see him on any other show, sports talk show, he carries himself a certain way. So to see him pretty much sun Ochocinco for being late was highly unprofessional, and I guarantee you he would never want someone to do it to him publicly. If Skip had even done that to him publicly, I guarantee you they would have had a conversation offline, and the next day Skip would have apologized and Shannon would have explained, listen, Skip, listen, all I ask is that just do it behind closed doors. Don't gotta do it in front of public. I can see him doing it. I can see it. So for him to do it to Ochocinco, I think he did it because he's the A side of the show. It's their show, but he started it, and so he feels a certain I don't want to say power, but he feels like he's in the, the controlling spot, which he is. But yeah, I think it was kind of disrespectful.
Normally, I would definitely agree with that, because I believe that, this is why I believe, I don't believe in having personal conversations on air or doing personal conversations in front of people. Like, I've never been the kind of guy where if I had a problem with someone, I was personally taught never to do it in front of people. So if I had a problem with one of my friends and we're in a group, I would pull my friend to the side and I would talk to them. Like, I'm not the type of guy to like try to embarrass someone in my friend group in front of someone, or just in front of a girl. Because there's some guys that will like try to say something loud or try to make you look dumb in front of a girl. Like, that's never been me. So I'm never a fan of that kind of thing. But I do believe that Shannon Sharpe did this for a reason. I think that this was probably something that happened continuously. So I think it got to a point where Shannon Sharpe just got tired of it, and it seems like he probably said something in private, but like it got to a point where he's like, all right, now you're being unprofessional and you're doing it in front of my face like you don't care. That's where I think it is. I'm not sure if that's what happened, but it seems like he probably exhausted other options, and at that point he's just fed up because he seemed like he was very mad. I couldn't imagine this being like the first time.
I did not think about that angle. I didn't consider that being a possibility. But it makes sense. It could very well be a possibility. So, and if that is the case, I don't know. I'm on the fence about it still, but I can kind of see where you're coming from with that one, if that is the case.
I mean, listen, I wouldn't do it at all. Like, that to me is a no-go, but I do understand being so frustrated with someone to the point where you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Especially if you've seen them behave other places, and then when it comes to your thing, they're kind of like, hey, man, we could do whatever we want. Like, I'm not for that at all.
No, I think that's what really set him off.
Yeah.
Because he made a point to say you wouldn't do that to, I can't remember the show. I think it's at ESPN or something. Ochocinco went to 2 different places, like national broadcast, and he was not late. So I think it triggered Shannon to be like, oh, so you think we're small fish. You think that this is not serious. Like you said, this is a joke compared to those places. So I can see that why that would set him off. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that, too.
And I think the other biggest thing is, and this is how I was personally taught, right? As a young man, my grandfather always taught me, like, is unacceptable to be late. Like, even as, like, I was one of those people, like, I had a job at 14. I had a job very young. One of the things that my grandfather always taught me, always be on your business. Like, yo, are you taking care of business? Are you taking care of, is that getting done? And part of that was always, like, show up on time. Because he was like, listen, I mean, sometimes you get a job and you're not great at your job, but one thing that you can always do is show up on time. If you know the date that you're supposed to start, you can always be there. And listen, are there some cases where people get sick or you can't show up for whatever reason? But like, if you have as much money as Ochocinco does, because Ochocinco has some money, he be saving some money. Yeah, he can be there on time.
He could have definitely been there on time. I think that.
And it seems like they do it over Zoom, right?
Yeah, they're not in the same room. I know that. They're not in the same building.
That's even more of a reason to be on time.
I think overall, Ocho could take it more seriously. He's like a jovial, lighthearted guy, and I think maybe he just thought it was two friends kicking it, and it was not a big deal. And Shannon, on the other hand, is very much type A, drill sergeant, be here on time. So, and neither thing is wrong, but if you, professionally speaking, like you said, you should be on time. And like he was saying, you're never late to these other places. Don't be late here. Treat this like you treat that. So I do agree with all that. I will say this too. When I watched it, it didn't come across as bad to me as I thought it would. Because when I heard about it, I was like, "Oh, it's about to be bad." Shannon's gonna start screaming at him.
The news always sensationalizes stuff.
Yeah, but it came across. If Shannon had like given a couple laughs, it may have just come off as a non-issue. But because he was very like, you could tell he's frustrated, and he could have said more. I could tell he held back too.
Yeah,
he could have definitely said more. So maybe you're right. Maybe that was a tactic by him.
I think the way that Ocho is, like him just being chill, makes it worse because it seems like he doesn't care when that might in actuality just be his personality.
Well, that's definitely Ocho's personality, like a chill, laid back type.
So like, yeah I can understand because sometimes, because I've had that problem too, right? Because I'm a fairly calm person, so sometimes in a serious situation where you don't seem as flustered as someone else, someone might take it as you not caring, where in actuality it's just your personality. Some people aren't. Some people don't get out of their box.
They're opposite personalities. I will say again, it's not as big as deal as people are making it seem. So I'm not over here saying that Shannon Sharpe is an a-hole. I've heard people say that. And I don't know him, obviously.
I mean, that's also a subjective thing.
What's that?
Being an a-hole. Like, one person can view as an a-hole, one person can view as a nice guy, and also depends on the level, right? So someone that's used to people being very calm and patient might not be used to his person. The best way I can kind of picture this is like, if you ever played sports, there are some coaches that are like loud, aggressive in your face, and there's some coaches who are chill. If you've never had a loud, aggressive coach, and then you're put with a coach who's loud, aggressive, you might see like, oh, he's the worst thing, he's crazy. But amongst other coaches, he's just normal. It just depends on your level of experience and how you're used to dealing with people. And also it depends on your environment. Because I know I grew up with some friends where their parents would talk to them crazy and be like all loud. And then when we'd have a teacher who would do the same thing, a lot of people in our class would complain and they'd just be like, well, I mean, this is nothing. Like, my house is crazier. So ultimately, guys, I am going to say Ocho made a bad decision. At first, I was going to say he made a good decision. But then after a while, I'm not going to lie, Jay had me really thinking. I was like, you know what? Yeah, it was a bad decision. He still should have kept it professional if he had a problem with Ocho.
Oh, you mean Shannon made a bad decision?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Shannon made a bad decision. He ultimately should have just kept it, professional with Ocho, not put him on blast. That should have definitely just been a heated conversation afterwards.
And it's like other way around. I mean, yeah, I be thinking now. I don't know. So
now you switch.
Yeah, I don't know. Because it wasn't that bad. And they go back and forth all the time on the show. I know everyone might not watch it. I don't watch it often. I've seen enough episodes to know they go back and forth, and that's kind of the dynamic they have. If what you said is true, that he said it many, many times, I'll say it's not a bad decision so much. If it's the first time, which I doubt it is, then it's a bad decision for him to do that.
All right, guys. So if you think Shannon made a good decision, leave a like, leave a comment. He made a bad decision, and he's mean. Leave a like, leave a comment. All right, decision makers, don't argue on live.